Okay, there we go.
Here we go.
Welcome
New
back,
Year.
everybody. And the resident ginger is back. Go, Chris. Get it, Chris. Go, Chris. Get it, Chris. Okay.
It's a new year, new us.
Okay. New year, new ginger. Same old Taz. I'm gonna still be nerdy and crotchety.
Same resident ginger.
Now, tonight we know this is the show that is chock full of technical difficulties because as much as I love technology, it doesn't always love me.
Or me, kicks me out sometimes.
Yes, so
or mutes me.
I know that you all are used to me putting certain things up on the screen. Some things you will just hear the audio, and I'll do my best to try to like square it up from another device onto here, because it is just it's one of those nights. But
yeah,
every year at the beginning of the year, this happens. We're used to it. Quick update on the Idaho murder suspect. If you know me, unless it shows up in an article, I don't really like to give space to infamous people. He has been officially extradited from Pennsylvania to Idaho. He also thinks that he's going to be able to outsmart people because he feels that he's going to prove everyone wrong. Now, remember, his car was caught outside the house where the 4 college students were murdered, and his DNA was found inside the home where he does not reside. He was not friends with anybody. He had no reason to be inside the house, but
somehow it was planted.
I feel like this is going to be another debacle like the dude that ran through the parade.
The Q said it was planted.
Now, there's a lot to get into, but I guess you could call it the lighthearted stuff we're going to start with. I guess it's lighthearted.
It's Taz and Chris night.
Now we know that we still don't have a Speaker of the House. But I will say, a reporter thought that they had a gotcha moment with Hakeem Jeffries of the Democratic Party, and this was chef's kiss. This chef's, I wish I could put it on a plate and eat it. You know what? I'm not even going to describe it. Y'all know how I do. Let me show you the footage.
Hakeem Jeffries gets it. And here we are, day 2 of potentially picking a speaker and him being the leader of the minority party, which is the Democrats. He's asked, are Democrats willing to help Republicans and pick a consensus candidate, maybe not Kevin McCarthy, but maybe more of a moderate Republican, to finally get a speaker so the people's work can be done. And I just think that Hakeem Jeffries' response was perfect. Let's take a look.
Your caucus be open to voting for a Republican that would be that type of consensus candidate?
We are looking for a willing partner to solve problems for the American people, not save the Republicans from their dysfunction.
It is not incumbent upon the Democrats to save the Republican Party from the dysfunction that they have created over the last 6 years. It is not their responsibility to gather them all up and help them as they take the reins of power. It is the responsibility of the Republicans to figure out what they want to do because we have elections and the electorate chose Republicans to run the House. Therefore, it's time to get your stuff in order. But when you spend 6 years and your entire ideology and political platform on demagoguery and fighting culture wars, you have not laid the foundation to effectively govern. You all have not had the necessary conversations to even hold the mantle of power that has been so prestigiously bestowed upon you. So no, It's not the Democrats' responsibility to do so. It is their responsibility, like Hakeem Jeffrey says, to partner with them because there's a whole other side of the electorate that chose to vote for them, however it be, not enough to hold the reins of power. So now, folk, no, and now again. So we'll see what happens today because from all the reports, the 20 that voted against Kevin McCarthy are still saying they're still going to vote against him. And Kevin McCarthy is still saying he thinks he has the votes to get there. We're going to see. we're just going to see. So stay tuned here.
Yeah. 100% correct. It is nobody else's responsibility to save them. But before we go on, this is literal breaking news. Just came in hot off the wire. Okay, y'all remember the whole college admissions scam? Everybody thought that all of the court cases were done. They were not. I told y'all, keep your eyes open. So coming in from the Associated Press, college admissions scam mastermind Rick Singer gets 3.5 years in prison. The mastermind of the nationwide college admissions bribery scheme that ensnared celebrities, prominent business people, and other parents who used their wealth and privilege to buy their kids' way into top-tier schools was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison on Wednesday. The punishment for Rick Singer, 62, is the longest sentence handed down in the sprawling scandal that embarrassed some of the nation's most prestigious universities and put a spotlight on the secretive admissions system already seen as rigged in favor of the rich.
Absolutely. Yeah, the documentary on it. They just had recently.
Put a spotlight on it. It just confirmed what all of us already knew. If you've ever been on a college campus, you've ever taken a class in college, and then it's time to graduate or it's time to do certain stuff, and you notice that students you ain't never seen, ain't never heard of, ain't been in a group project with not once, are now graduating at the top of your class. If you ever played a sport in college, and then all of a sudden you look at the roster and you see 4, 5, 6, 7 people that you ain't never seen at practice, we already knew this was going on. It put a spotlight on it for those that want to deny it.
Absolutely.
But there's a part 2 because the speaker debacle. This has been better than Telemundo. I ain't gonna lie. You can't look away from it. And the Karens that have happened, the political campaign speeches that have been given.
Oh, they're eating up the spotlight. Gates, Matt, Boebert.
Oh, the tweets. Oh, and Marjorie Taylor Greene was scolded today because she tried to come for somebody and some folks came for her, reminding her that she's a whore.
She's a ex-Green, soon to just be a Taylor.
She was told that one tweet that she put out, she had 30 minutes to take down, or they was coming for her. When I tell you the GOP is eating their own.
Yes. So we call Hannibal Lecter.
Like even 100 years ago, in 1923, the last time something like this happened, it wasn't because they were trying to eat their own. And then they just went to basically a populace where it was like, look, we're going to do this last vote. Whoever gets the most is who gets it. And it's like, how many votes are we going to go through before we move to that? Because you cannot seat Congress until you have a Speaker of the House, because the Speaker is who swears everybody in.
We know
and Mr. George Santos is already out here lying, saying that he was already sworn in. You know, the congressman-elect that done lied about everything from the rooter to the tutor. For the first time ever in congressional history, a congressman-elect was asked what their legal name was.
And his last name was really Musk.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But let's get into this next little nugget of Speakergate
Inherit tweet
2023.
Twitter.
You want to know what happens when you give a dysfunctional party control of anything? You get this entire charade that they're calling a speaker's vote today. Kevin McCarthy isn't going to win. First it was Kevin McCarthy and Jim Jordan and Andy Biggs, and then it was like Paul Gosar and like people who aren't even in Congress. But what has remained consistent the entire time is the fact that 100% of the Democrats are voting for Hakeem Jeffries. Is there a world in which Hakeem Jeffries is going to be the next Speaker of the House? No. Stop saying that it's a possibility. It's not. There is no world in which the Republicans are going to gerrymander the way that they did to win the seats that they needed to hold the House and then just hand it off. It's not going to happen. The only way that could happen is if a shit ton of the representatives voted present as opposed to for an actual person. We know that's never going to happen. So stop saying it. Stop even suggesting it, people. Needless to say, watching the way that this is playing out and watching George Santos just sitting in the gallery voting repeatedly by himself with no one talking to him, just scrolling on his phone. What a fucking clown show the Republican Party is. I remember like real Republican parties that were like, we're coming in, we got a plan. They don't have no fucking plans. They're not in there like, we got plans for the border, and we got plans to fight for the American people. We got plans for prescription drug prices and healthcare and whatnot. No, they're literally fighting over who's going to be in charge of investigating random Democrats. They don't care about you. They don't care about the American people. They literally care about power and these identity politic bullshit arguments that continue to divide people. Witnessing the first 4 hours of the Republican-led Congress, I can assure you that absolutely fucking nothing will get done for the next 2 years. I can tell you that right now with 100% certainty. They're not going to do anything for you. They're not going to do anything for me. Maybe they'll do something for their big lobbying groups that pay them millions and millions and millions of dollars. But when it comes to actually legislating and putting the American people first, I can assure you the 118th Congress is not going to do that. I should rephrase that. The Democrats will try and make life better for you, while the Republicans simultaneously continue to suck the soul straight out of America. Needless to say, Kevin McCarthy has lost 3 votes and he's about to lose a 4th. Oh, and I got Donald Trump's call log from the day of January 6th. Hold on, I'm going to make another talk.
Now, keep in mind, the Republicans already said that they don't plan on doing anything once seated. Their plan is to investigate Joe Biden, work to impeach him, investigate Hunter Biden, who's not a politician, so they can hold as many meetings and hearings as they want. There's no power against him. He's not a politician. And at this point, if anything was hinky and any of Hunter Biden's dealings, he would have been wrangled up by the DOJ, the FBI, the CIA, whoever. What I witnessed today were a bunch of political campaign speeches, a lot of dog whistles put out, a lot of culture war speaking points, a lot of racist tropes. You know, now we're going to nominate the Black Republican against the Black Democrat. And let me remind, Frederick Douglass said I would never be anything but a Republican because, you know, I guess the party switch didn't happen.
And Herschel said, I want to be a werewolf. Yeah.
Like the stuff that it's...
Their goal is just to do nothing, say no, and then at the end of 2 years, blame it all and say, Look what Biden didn't get done. Look what they did. Look what didn't get done. And
Well,
everyone's gonna know.
they waste so much money, and then money within the budget that should earnestly go to certain things. They're like, see, we ran out of money. We can't pass this. We're spending too much. We're spending too much money on your bullshit. And the biggest thing that the 20 dissenters of the GOP are holding out for is to be able to eliminate Social Security and Medicare.
Yeah. That's nice, right?
Because they're like, oh, I don't need it. I get these benefits for life. And this is why I say certain politicians are so disconnected. They forget their children don't get this. Their aunts and uncles don't get this. Their cousins don't get this. Their neighbors that they love to have block parties with don't get this. Their investors in their companies don't get. And I'm sorry. Yes, I am a business owner. But if I decided to throw my hat into the political arena, I would dissolve my company. And I would say dissolve because none of my kids really have an interest in IT and taking over the company. So I would have to dissolve it. I would not leave somebody leverage to come in. No.
Yeah, I would start grooming a tiny human right now for that.
I'm pretty sure it'd be Kyra, but she scares me, and I don't think I should leave her in charge of an IT company. I think we can all agree we don't need
full speed ahead.
Yeah, it'd be full speed ahead to none of us having any privacy left with Tiny Muscolini. But remember, I told y'all Marjorie Taylor Greene was scolded. Babies, take a look.
Insane now. Here's what's going on. So during the House votes, AOC was seen talking to Gates and Good first alone, and then after that having a private conversation with Paul Gosar. Margarine started tweeting about these things and calling them out as sort of like traitors. And now Stop the Steal founder Ali Alexander is said that Marjorie has 30 minutes to take down her tweets or he's going to go nuclear on her. Look at this. He says, who doubts me? Please go on record now. Remember this? Like meaning she took the oath. Where's this? Delete the attack on Paul. Margarine, you are in trouble. And I just love this for you. What?
Marjorie keeps thinking that her adjacency, just like Lauren Boebert thinks that her adjacency to Trump gives them some type of power.
She used to get power from dancing for dollars.
Right. And it's like Trump is already threatening to create his own party. And I'm like, I thought he already had his own party, which whatever. Because at this point, I'm just going to start calling the GOP the Protestant Christianity of politics. Because GOP is just blanket. They got log cabins, rhinos, Tea Party, Trumplicans. Like there's a cornucopia of Republicans. But here's the thing. As much as I disdain Trump, create another party. I do not know why we as a society within the United States decided to go to a two-party system where we never began that way. And all of these originalist, staunch patriots always draw a line that you gotta be Republican and conservative and nothing. That was never the case. We had Democrats, Republicans, Dixiecrats, Democrat Republicans, Independents, Whigs. Like there was a cornucopia of political parties. And now we feel the need to just vote Democrat, Republican, Democrat. Why? Anybody else that pops up, they're like, you're going to split the vote. Split your ass.
Yeah, those people that are still screaming about being nationalists. We know what we know the history behind people that claim nationalism.
like I said before, when I was teaching people about the
And if you
Sedition
don't,
Act.
Google is free.
Yeah, when I was teaching people about the Sedition Act, I was like, it's written in to law that the founding fathers thought patriotism meant taking a life or giving your life. So before you call yourself a patriot,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, check which country you're patriot to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking, Venezuela, one of North Korea.
and as much as people like to joke about Benedict Arnold, y'all do know Benedict Arnold became treasonous. Well, I mean, he was already scamming the system, kind of like Trump. But after he lost his job, that's when he was like, well, if I can't make money the way I used to, I'm going to start selling secrets. Y'all never fully declassified me, which was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Sound familiar? Sound like Trump?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just don't name no egg dish after Trump, because then I'm going to have to give up eggs.
Yeah, this is removing his name off of golf courses around the country.
Lord Jesus, Lord.
Because that Trump name just ain't much of anything. Ain't much
True.
of a term.
But what? Wait a minute. Will this? No, it's not. I got the phone screen on. But y'all, just put your listening ears on. Turn this up. Because when I told y'all, Congressman-elect George Santos that has lied about everything, he is the grift that keeps on grifting and just keeps on lying.
In Congress, lied his way into that, lied about his education, lied about everything about his life, lied about where he worked, lied about his income, lied about everything. Won his election. And now the very first thing he does, the very first thing he puts in writing in Washington is a lie that he was sworn in today by the speaker when there is no speaker and no one was sworn in at the House of Representatives. That's George Santos' first day at the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
And before people ask, how is George Santos getting away with this? 2 words for you. Donald Trump. Far too many people allowed Donald Trump to get away with lying in his campaign, lying throughout his presidency, lying post-presidency. This is the wave that we tried to warn y'all about.
Mm-hmm.
And there's $700,000 that is unaccounted for.
It's about supporters. It's not about, because we know where the truth goes. The truth is in the trash can. They have no use for the truth. It's about your support, your base. It's about your donors. It's about the grift. It's about all of that outside of, you can say whatever you want. Hey, if you're a supporter, you're told, we are your source of information. You're not allowed to go look for the truth, because out there it's all fake news to them. So yeah, once you got enough punch in your system, you're stuck with whatever they're telling you. I mean, you can tell you got ancestors, on Mars, and they're told to believe it.
With no question. And it's the same base that will get online or in our faces in real life and go, do your research. What research have you done, Clevis?
Yeah. And what are you currently doing for actual human beings here in this country? Not any one color, not any one, supporting base, not, we're not checking your voter card to decide if we're going to help you out. It's, what are you doing for everyday people? So yeah, that's what they're dealing with. We're dealing with people that are not seeking the truth. They're told who they're supposed to get their information from. And they're told, if you don't support us, you must be one of them. It's kind of like that, the McCarthy era, you must be communist if you.
Yep. And I'm glad you brought that up, because what's going on right now with the never Kevins and everything else. This isn't about them not having belief in Kevin McCarthy. This is them instilling fear in anyone going forward that becomes Speaker of the House. They're asserting their power because they want rules in place that if you don't go along with what the GOP wants, we can just remove you. But you can't remove us.
Don't
Like,
come in
we'll
here
put
talking
you
about being moderate.
Yeah, here's the thing. They want the ethics committee removed. They want all of these things removed that would sanction them just on the congressional level. But if they put you in power, they want you to be their puppet. They want you to be just a figurehead. They want you to fear them removing you from power. They want to publicly embarrass you. If look at all of the press conferences that they're having. They are throwing more dirt on each other than anybody else could have ever thrown. And they are removing the curtain from their own Wizard of Oz, and they are so stuck on destroying each other, they're not realizing that they're confirming everything that everybody ever thought about the grand old party.
I wonder what Fox is doing. Are they kind of sitting in the middle and just kind of like, okay, do we throw a little bit of this dirt, a little bit of that dirt? I mean,
Fox
where does
doesn't know what
Fox
to do
News?
at this point. Fox is just going moment by moment, ticker by ticker, depending on who holds a press conference first. They've been so flip-floppy. Oh, this person has a good point. Oh, this person is a hater. Oh, this person got a good point.
They're as stable as Truth Social.
And I'm telling you, that Truth Social server, you didn't hear from me. But I would say that server is one viral moment from exploding.
Yeah.
It's child.
Like a pinata. Find all sorts of things out of that server, just like in Mar-a-Lago.
You know what? The GOP has been an MLM for the longest. Here's the thing. Republicans don't like to admit that there was a party switch. But there's a reason why the GOP is the GOP. The Republican Party is called the Grand Old Party. That's what GOP stands for, Grand Old Party. It's been around so long. And most conservatives, conserve where we are right now, love the Republican Party because they haven't been a party of forward motion in generations.
Right.
Like generations.
Yeah, there's a party that screams like
raising their own children is less than a generation away. But the Grand Old Party not wanting to move forward because they got infiltrated by the Dixiecrats and the Klan. Yeah, that's been going on for far too. Think of this, and you can Google it in your free time. Birth of a Nation was a highly intentionally racist movie. And it was the first movie played at the White House. And the White House was not originally white. And the White House wasn't even called white until 1951. But anywho, the tenets of that created the tactics of the Klan that you see to this day. The GOP is who firmly embraced that movie. This is why they don't want to tell you about the party switch. This is why even days like today, they toss around the only name they know. They'll either say Frederick Douglass or Martin Luther King Jr. were Republicans. But were they though? Because people just like with Abraham Lincoln, they like to take independents or Democratic Republicans and just put them in the Republican Party. because Abraham Lincoln created his own party, ran off of that, and that's when he got elected president. That party was absolved upon his assassination. He wasn't a Democrat. He wasn't a Republican when he took office. He also was not an abolitionist. He was not anti-slavery. He was, I don't give a damn as long as it does not affect me. He was, I want whatever makes my legacy look good. And actually, my legacy will look good if we just ship all these Negroes back to Africa. And you know what? While we on the topic, let me also break this down for y'all. FDR was not firmly in for marginalized people, not black, not brown, not Asian, not nothing. The only reason certain things got passed was because of his wife, not because of him. He was anti-Semitic during the Holocaust. He did not want Holocaust survivors to be able to take refuge within the United States. And before you go, but Taz, I know that he appointed blah, 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 blah. And at the same time, he was fervently anti-Semitic and racist towards those people. He also was the one that put the Japanese Americans in internment camps. And the only reason he released them from the internment camp is because when he had to sign saying that I'm going to deploy these troops, he realized there were Japanese Americans in that set of troops and was like, oh shit, if they're going to fight for this country, maybe we shouldn't put them behind barbed wire. Lyndon B. Johnson, y'all keep saying, Lyndon B. Johnson, did you not forget he couldn't go against what happened when JFK got his brains blown out on national television? And Martin Luther King Jr. and Randolph said, hey, you want to look good? You want to commemorate him? You know that little bill that he introduced a year ago? Maybe sign it into law. Because if you look at the Mississippi burning tapes, Lyndon B. Johnson was a flaming fucking racist. Realize that some people do things so that one thing will overshadow everything else in the history books. These politicians, these world leaders, they're looking at legacy. They're looking at what can I do that is so overwhelming that you will ignore everything else that I did. Because if you have a relative that fought in Vietnam, or a relative that immigrated from Vietnam, that blood is on LBJ's hands and Lady Bird Johnson's hands. And anybody who decides to call themselves Lady Bird, know the history behind it. That's some racist shit. But stop giving so much grace to people because they signed something into law. Look further.
That's right. There's a lot of history out there that's just out
like
there.
People who claim that George Washington didn't have slaves, that only Martha Washington had slaves. You a damn lie. There were a set of brothers George Washington bought himself. George Washington, when the capital of the United States was in Philadelphia, used to rotate himself and slaves in and out so that they would not establish residency so that those slaves could be emancipated. He had dower slaves through his wife, but he also had slaves he paid for himself. And there was one slave that he so famously had friends searching for. And she said, okay, I'll come back and continue to be your slave because I did escape. If I can be free upon your death. He said no. And right after that, he wrote the Fugitive Slave Act. So if you were not emancipated, even after the emancipation of the United States, if you look at the act, it did not free people that were already deemed fugitive after the 13th Amendment was signed. And the 13th Amendment just changed the parameters of slavery. It never abolished it. Just so you know. So yeah, I need y'all to stop with these false narratives and stop believing in stuff just because it sounds good. No different than y'all will believe because somebody don't like somebody online that somebody is now not shit.
Yeah.
Now, because once upon a time, there was a person, I'm not gonna say some folks, one person that was going around the internet saying that me and Chris wasn't shit.
Yeah.
But
I didn't lose any sleep.
and given y'all show up in the comments, be going crazy, and the viewership, evidently y'all know we we
Could have been twinsies. I actually have that shirt.
and I have a jacket like that. I was gonna put it on tonight, but I want to wear the shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Mr. Paul, thank you for joining us. Real quick, we do have a new new ad, and thank you to the people. I don't know what was going on the end of 22 into the beginning of this year, but thank you everybody for the sales. Thank you. Really
merch.
So but we got a new
merch.
We got new merch at
New Year ginger merch. I keep pushing for ginger merch. Nobody ever wants to have ginger merch anywhere.
Well, we're gonna figure
Amazon doesn't even have it.
We have to figure out what the ginger merch is going to be.
Man.
Probably, you know what? I could probably create something with you calling it Uber. But here we go. We'll see y'all back in 2 and 2. So crank it up, grab a snack as you take this in.
Yeah, body break.
For there is a will.
Yeah, we're back. I was like, everything went silent. I guess there was nothing on the merch, music on the merch.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know
I'll
why
play.
you play that.
Okay.
But now this is why I said we were going to deal with the more lighthearted stuff. Damar Hamlin. If you haven't seen the most recent updates, they are listed on my channel. If you go to the playlist, it's under the playlist marked news updates.
Yeah.
I've hated Skip Bayless for a while. If you follow me on either Instagram or on Facebook, then you already know about the heinous things that Skip said. I am not going to repeat what he said on Twitter here because I don't need a community guidelines violation over here. And I'm pretty sure that would get me one.
There's a lot you can look up. I mean,
Yeah. So like I said, if you did follow me on Instagram, if not, you might want to go do that. You can see it there. So Shannon Sharp took yesterday off. Shannon Sharp came back today.
What should I do? You gotta get Gary. At Gary S. Logston and Associates, they've helped thousands of accidents in Kentucky.
what's that?
You deserve after an accident. Call Gary S. Logston
Okay,
and Associates.
where is the sound coming
Where's
from?
that coming from?
Okay, that's so weird.
Okay. So we had a commercial break.
But let's get into what happened this morning.
Skip tweeted something, and although I disagree with the tweet, and hopefully Skip would take it down, but I didn't want it.
Well, time out. I'm not going to take it down because I stand by what I tweeted.
Skip, let me.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Go ahead. Let's go, Jen.
Okay.
I mean, I cannot even get through a monologue without you interrupting.
Okay.
Me. You could have came back, Skip.
Well, I thought,
Skip, just let.
I didn't know you were going to bring up.
No, I was just going to say, Skip. I didn't want to yesterday to get into a situation where Damar Hamlin was the issue. We should have been talking about him and not get into your tweet. That's what I was going to do. But you can't even let me finish my opening monologue without you interrupting.
Okay. I was under the impression you weren't going to bring this up because nobody here had a problem with that tweet.
No. Clearly, the bosses wanted you to offer explanation. So clearly,
no, they did not have. Nobody.
Let's go, Jan.
Yeah. When I saw that this morning, I was like, really? Because I saw yesterday's show, well, briefly at the beginning, and him sitting there by himself, knowing that Shannon is not there. He was scrambling to try to backtrack yesterday. Today he came out like defiant. Like, no, it didn't. No, I'm not taking it down. No, the bosses didn't tell me anything. We know good and well they did. While he was live, while the tweets were coming out, they were getting after him.
And the incredible backlash that was making news. Skip is the epitome of a white man being too comfortable in his privilege. He wanted to try to scapegoat Shannon Sharp instead of owning up to it because he could have let Shannon speak. But he knew the cameras were on. And the moment that Shannon would have reacted, whether Shannon got up and walked away, whether Shannon cussed him out, whether Shannon came out the bag and whooped his ass, just like what we saw with Will Smith, the world would have been focused on Shannon. They would have forgotten about the egregious things that Skip said. And the amount of people online trying to just over-explain and excuse what Skip said. Nah, baby, we all can read. We all have comprehension skills.
Yeah, we know it came out first, not what came out the next day, 12 hours later.
He tripled down overnight. And you know,
Yeah.
because we spoke that night, and you
Mhm.
know that I did not get any sleep. I was watching everything diligently.
We were all numb. We were numb. We were.
I was on the phone with contacts of mine at the hospital. I was terrified because you know my background. So me watching what happened, I was like, okay, there's 3 possibilities that are going on here.
Mhm.
My first inkling, which I told you, was correct.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought it was too. That's
Now at this point, we got about a week. Things could get better, or things could get worse.
mhm.
This is not a quick fix. This is not, oh, he's going to wake up tomorrow and be bada bing, bada boom. It could happen,
Mhm.
but statistically speaking,
When you hear trending upward, yes, it's hope, but that doesn't say
take
you're
a
out of the
week,
woods.
he's in a position. He's not laying like this in a hospital bed. He's laying like this. To avoid blood clots,
Mhm.
to not put so much pressure on his heart so he can breathe.
Mhm.
And yes, right now, no, he is not breathing on his own. He's beginning to be able to breathe on his own with assistance, but he has to be in that position. When you suffer so much strain and an impact, think about it. You don't need everything laying on you.
Right.
And he's not conscious like the rest of us. He is sedated. So they can't just lay him face down.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot. But Skip,
Yeah.
you know what? Before people start coming into the comment section, as they generally do, because they generally like to believe
I
that,
mean,
you
we
know,
just
because
respond to the tweet. We respond to what was already put out there. So it's not that.
yeah, but we know that anytime you and I talk about sports, they either like to come into the comment section or bombard me on Facebook and claim that I don't know what I'm talking about regarding the sports.
Well, we're not
and
bringing
blah,
up Deshaun, so
blah. Because, you know, I got boobs. I want to remind y'all of a little not so distant NFL history. And maybe this will let you know why what Skip said was so egregious, and y'all can stop the cap. And y'all can finally leave me the fuck alone like I give a damn. I ain't gonna speak on shit I don't know about. And if you think me being a woman means that I don't know sports, go diddle with your daddy.
Now was as good a time as any to remind the world when the NFL had to start paying out concussion-related damages to former players. They literally argued that black players should get less money because they had less mental capacity to lose. So you might be wondering like, yo, when was that policy a thing? The NFL had this policy in place up until 2021. After they were sued in a civil lawsuit. I need y'all to understand what this means, y'all. The NFL decided to give former players who were black less money in concussion settlements because they believed that black players or black people in general started with lower cognitive function, meaning that their presupposition was that black folks were inherently and genetically less intelligent than white folks. Meaning that they felt that black folks were so stupid coming into the game that a concussion didn't impact them as much as a white person who to them was inherently more intelligent. So with black folks, they was basically like, oh, you failed that test after having a concussion? You was gonna fail it anyway because you're dumb. But with white folks, they were like, ooh, you failed that test after a concussion? You shouldn't have because you would have got an A. And when they started giving out money for these concussion settlements, white folks were qualifying for awards at 2 or 3 times the rate of black folks. Keep that in mind when you consider that the NFL wanted those players to go back on the field, but they refused. Players, people in general, you are more powerful than you know. This system don't move without you.
And couple that with the Colin Kaepernick situation, but they didn't have a problem with so many players being political and backing Trump or praying on the sidelines, taking a knee to pray on the sidelines during the national anthem. Do y'all now get why so many sports fans feel disrespected and outraged by Skip Bayless's comments. And those of y'all that don't follow sports, please shut the fuck up. Please shut the fuck up with your commentary regarding this, because y'all are so off basis and getting mad at the wrong shit and the wrong people.
Well, they're the same ones that are like, I'm going to stop watching football because Cap took a knee. I'm going to stop watching, whatever other sports because somebody did something. You know what? I thought you had already stopped, but apparently you just keep on checking in. You keep on trolling.
Right. And it's like, please, if you don't know something, if you don't follow something, if you're not, it's okay to say that you don't know. I do it all the time. Y'all have no idea how many DMs I field where I have to tell somebody, I don't know. If you give me a little bit of time, I will do some research on it and I can come back to you and give you something regarding the little bit of research I can do in a couple days. But it is okay to say you don't know. Stop jumping into arenas you know nothing about.
Right. And when it came to this situation, nobody knew what to do. Like I said, this stopped everything. During that game, the world stopped when it came to anyone that was watching, playing, surrounded. Anybody, it was stopped. This was something that we're not used to seeing. Like I said,
there's no real protocol for it. This has happened one time. Wait a minute. I'm 45, so we'll say 40 years ago, on a basketball court, on a college campus. 10 years ago, at a high school football game, where one, you don't know about people's underlying conditions, that any of us could be walking around with a condition that if you don't know to tell the doctor to test for, they're not going to test for it, because our healthcare is shit in this country. No doctor worth their weight wants to just test you for everything and leave you with an astronomical bill that's going to kill you from stress anyway.
Right. So,
but it's like there's no protocol for this.
Yeah.
And you
focus.
You dirty anti-vaxxer, COVID denying ass motherfuckers. If y'all don't quit putting this young man in his grave on the internet claiming that he's already dead, stop trying to blame the vaccine for what happened to him. Number one. Number two. And this ain't because this happened on the field of my team. I don't give a damn where they were playing. I don't give a damn what team the Bills were up against. Stop sitting here calling for death threats against T. He's already dealing with enough. Do you know how traumatic this is? He goes in for a routine tackle, and the person he tackled doesn't get up. And it's only you motherfuckers that never watch football, don't know shit, ain't never even played hopscotch, jump rope, nothing. They got something to shut the fuck up.
I'm wondering where did this come from with calling out T. Higgins? What Q universe did this come from? I mean, the guy was playing football.
From blaming the vaccine to blaming T. T was so distraught.
Yeah.
His mom had to come outside the locker room to come collect him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. His name should have been anywhere other than just like the rest of the team. He was a teammate. He's a brother out there on the field.
And it's a routine thing. Even as a cheer coach, I had a cheerleader get injured at a competition. Now, there were some staunch parents that were pissed off, like, why did you step onto the mat? That cost us points. First of all, my cheerleader is down. my team and I had already talked about it. We don't give a damn about points. If we got a man that get them off the mat, because if you continue with the routine with a down cheerleader, you can injure other cheerleaders or further injure the other one. Fuck that shit. But the negligent mother wanted to try to blame the bases. If you don't know what a base is in cheerleading, Google it. I'm not about to explain it now. But wanted to blame the base, and we found out this cheerleader never healed from an original injury. That parent had been giving me falsified information and falsified paperwork. Her mother had been falsifying shit. But even if she didn't falsify it, the oopsie that happened, somebody's arm slipped a quarter of an inch because lotion, sweat, whatever. It fucking happens. You don't. But then y'all want to cry and claim it's the Illuminati and Hollywood is trying to kill everybody. When people get to the point where you drive them so far that their mental health is depleted, make it fucking make sense. Pick a damn struggle.
Attacking innocent people who have nothing to do with anything and turning it into something that's out of some odd, weird science fiction B movie. Like,
exactly.
I mean, just anything, you can't even grasp what they're coming up with. It just there's nothing to grab onto because it's that crazy. I mean, unless you're Santos. I mean, but
woo, Santos or
yeah.
Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Or Marjorie Taylor Greene, because Oh, and let's
Boebert, she'll dance for it.
Yeah, I was going to say the revisionist that is Boebert. But before we close out, I want to say three things. One, Happy New Year to my favorite ginger in the whole wide world. Mm-hmm. And thank you for agreeing to rock out this new year with me. Because as we agreed, it's going to get bigger and better and all that thing. Two, I know people love to come here and have a good time. That's great. But I would appreciate y'all not joking when we're talking about heavy topics. When you're in the comment section making light of stuff while we're up here, whether it's live or somebody's watching it back, that really takes away from the energy and effort and the research that's put into each of these shows and the commentary that's put out. And three, and most importantly, I really want to thank my regular viewers, because two of them knew what I was going into coming into the show, and my co-host Chris. Because tonight I had someone that I thought was a friend that I really stood up for. And Chris knows where I'm coming from, because when I call you a friend, I go in wholeheartedly and I will defend you with every bit of my being. I found out that this person was a racist within moments of us going live. So if you noticed me drifting off, it was no disrespect to my co-host. It was no disrespect to anybody watching.
And that's why I made sure we're okay to go on. Because if we're not okay to go on, guess what? We don't go on.
Yeah. And I felt at the beginning of this that I was cool, but there were times that I am human. There were times that I wanted to just halt the broadcast and call this person and curse them into oblivion. But I realized that is not for me to do, because a racist is waiting for me to do that. Mm-hmm. So in conclusion, I just want to say thank you for the true anti-racist out here, like Gingy Poo.
Yeah.
My Gingy Goober.
I'm already in a ginger minority here, so
my Gingy Goober, and
I'm already in my own minority.
and the the great subscribers to this channel, because actually today marks 2 years of me starting this podcast, and y'all have been amazing, and you didn't have to be amazing to any of us, but you chose to be. So thank you. Okay,
Yeah.
so now I'm done with my mushy moments. Your final thoughts
And I
on
appreciate, just to start off the new year, I appreciate everyone who watches us. I know there's times where we may go a week or so without a show. Doesn't mean something was bad and horrible and we didn't want to be here. Usually it was something either health related or just something on a personal level of that day, maybe at my job or something that kind of took me out of the mix, and I did not want to come on here if I can't give you enough of me to participate. I don't want to just be a sitting figure on this panel. So there may be weeks like that. My job can be like that sometimes during the daytime. But I do appreciate everyone that shows
a
up.
lot of times, y'all, he just takes the bullet for me because I'm sickly.
Like I said, we're human. And anything that you do put on here, once again, we're human. There's subjects that we take serious. There's subjects that we make light of because that's what it is. But we're not out here with malintent to promote something that isn't based on something that we already know has been looked up. We're not in that field. We're not in that foxy entertainment field. So we just want you to know that anything we're coming to you with, you have the research queen right there. And if you don't know, I don't think you can Google that part of her, but if you don't know, I do know. And I wouldn't be on here with somebody that wasn't doing their due diligence and making sure that the sources that were grabbed from were actually telling something that wasn't fictional and fantasy. So, like I said, I appreciate everyone that's on here. Like I said, we do like to have fun. We like to laugh. We are nuts. If you were to see us off camera, we can be pretty nutty, and life has to be like that. There are times where we do need to take life serious, but what's life without laughter? So,
and we
and what I always tell people, sometimes we just need to smile more and laugh often.
yeah, and trust me, he and I,
yeah, we're nuts. We're just
we mellow it down for this show because we would probably get all the community guidelines violations if
we would just go way off path of whatever it is we had started talking about.
Yeah, you'd get us turning on Netflix and forgetting that people are watching us. Yeah.
I mean, we'd be jumping from 1 minute talking about something on one of the streaming services to talking about
and then sending each other memes. We're like, this doesn't make sense. Did you see this?
And like, oh, by the way, I heard something about a Star Wars. We'd be jumping around all over the place. So, but that's what friendships are, and we have this mutual respect for each other. And no, I'm not in the Commonwealth. Commonwealth had enough action today.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, we're not.
So we didn't talk about the action in the Commonwealth today
because I can't. I need till tomorrow to get over that.
That was a sight to see. We saw handshaking going on, which is a sight to see.
Yeah,
but like I said, what
in my area.
Yeah, but like I said, what we do here on our nights is to bring you a variety. Yes, I'm a huge sports fan, so obviously a lot of information I get a lot of times is coming from the sports world or from the entertainment industry, because I do watch and I do a lot of binge watching. So
did you do know we're getting a Reverse Flash movie, right?
Yes. Okay.
I am
Hmm.
I am evilly excited. Because
Mm-hmm.
Reverse Flash serves one purpose. You know, every other villain wants to take over the world, wants to get rich. Reverse Flash just wants to fuck with Flash.
Yeah.
It's oh my god, I just realized it's my sister-in-law with me. Jesus, Marion. Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
My sister-in-law is my Reverse Flash. Oh,
Oh wow.
I don't
Wow.
oh, let me put that in the notes for my therapist tomorrow. Jesus.
Okay. Yeah, that's for a different session.
That- I went from being excited to now I'm disappointed.
But all in all, like I said, we can be here to entertain at times, and we can be here to bring you information that needs to be talked about, because there are things that we do need to turn the serious light bulb on.
And I'm not saying don't joke in the comment section. I'm just saying joke appropriately.
Yeah.
I've just noticed over the past few episodes, it's when we're getting to the most serious parts,
Mm-hmm.
everybody wants to be joking, and it's like,
Yeah, but for me, everything surrounding Monday night was critical, was serious, was a life at risk, and there was no wiggle room for anything else other than concern, prayers, whatever. Little to no wiggle room when it came to, well, let's break down the tackle. No. We were talking about something we didn't know. At the time, we didn't know anything. There was fear. Not just, I mean, imagine being on the field and seeing, because we couldn't get a view, imagine seeing somebody having their uniform taken off. They had to get to the body.
And that's why I'm glad that the players did what they did. I saw online that people were pissed.
I mean, I know in some
made
sports,
a boundary
right.
them, but they needed to.
And I know in some sports they'll bring panels or something.
Right. We live in a society where people want to have that gotcha. They want to have. Nobody needed that video. And the thing about it is, Chris knows this. Nobody else does. I was supposed to be at the game. I had a fever on Monday. Here's the fact that I was at home watching it TV. My sons were here. The Gigi girls were here, driving me crazy because I was trying to quarantine myself because I wasn't sure if I was contagious or not. But you know, they don't care.
But it was Bengals night.
And you know, Tiny Muscolini, she really don't care. She don't give a shit. She like, well, Gigi got cooties. I'm gonna have cooties too. Move over. So I was in the bed and I was like,
I was just hoping and hoping and hoping and hoping that there was nobody with some camera lens that was amazing and somehow they were up in the higher seats.
Well, here's the thing.
I mean, I was hoping we had nothing. Yeah.
Being a lifelong Bengals fan, being at that stadium multiple times for multiple different events. I've been there for weddings. I've been there for school events for my children, for ceremonies. I've been there for games. There's a rule on what you can and cannot bring in. So I wasn't worried about a spectator getting there. I was happy because one thing that we're taught in high school that too many people let go of when they move out of high school is that when you have a man down, you protect them, and you protect them from prying eyes because you don't want your man down to be embarrassed because somebody could have a seizure. Somebody could go into cardiac arrest. Somebody could just be sick to their stomach. You protect, put a human barrier around them.
Right.
I was glad to see that.
And that goes beyond that. It goes to the point where later the pleads were coming out to not show the video again of him going down, of him collapsing, to asking people, pleading with people not to replay that part of the video. They were showing the tackle up to the point where he would stand up and then they would cut it. and they didn't go beyond that.
And I even asked people, hey, don't show this. And then you saw what I put on Facebook, like, y'all with all these theories. There's a mother that can't fix this for her child. There's a father that can't fix this for his child. Like, keep that in mind.
They were up in the stands. Like, imagine them up in the stands saying, I need to get down. Where are they taking him? I need to go. Imagine them up in the stands.
Here's the thing, because I have a close friend that works in the media department for the Bengals. His brother was there. Let me repeat that for y'all. His brother was there, and his brother was the first one to realize something was wrong. From what I heard, before he hit the ground, his brother looked at him getting up and immediately was like, something's wrong with my brother. Let me get out to my brother. So while the rest of y'all are like, we, what you mean? I didn't see CPR. What you mean? I didn't see. His family was on the sideline. He hugged his mother before gameplay began. And those of y'all that know me, if you know, you know, I know what that mother is going through. That's why I told Chris. That's why that night, Chris knows I got no sleep. I wanted to make sure that young man was going to be alive in the morning. Chris, am I lying?
Yeah, no.
I was like, because I talked to Chris. I can't.
I was numb the next day. I mean, I woke up the next morning. Thankfully, I got sleep. I had to go to work. But I went into work. My boss looked at me and was like, Chris, everything okay? I'm like, boss, I'm still pretty numb. Like, last night I was up fearful for this man's life. This is something we weren't prepared for. We had never seen.
Yeah. And
we'd seen other things that were like, okay, they're bringing out a stretcher. He's alert, but his legs broke, or we got someone who was wobbly.
My biggest concern was 9+ minutes of CPR.
Right.
Because after 4 minutes of no oxygen, you're brain dead. And I told this to you, Chris.
Yeah.
I said, that is my concern. So when the uncle and that information, like I said, it's in the playlist under news updates, came out and explained that what we didn't see is that he was resuscitated. He was breathing. When he got to the hospital, he had to be resuscitated. And I was like, okay, that is plausible. I've been resuscitated twice. I am fine. I am functional. And there was a young man who was a lacrosse player who was inflicted with the same injury. Now, mind you, this lacrosse player was about 10 years younger. So, you know, age, I'm not saying that this man is old, but age does play a factor with different things. This lacrosse player, within 2 weeks, was able to go home. Now, Mr. Hamlin is still 24. He full of life, full of vigor, and I believe that he's fighting a good fight, whether he hits a football field again or not. He has a wonderful career ahead of him as a philanthropist. He could open up a nonprofit tomorrow, and he gonna be all right, because it seems that's where his heart is anyway.
And he's got a strong base. His family is amazing from everything that I've.
My thing is, with things like this, you have to give it time. Before my family knew that I suffered from seizures, the first seizure that I had, it legitimately took me 3.5 months to fully recover and be functional. And that was just a seizure. And I'm not, before y'all go, Taz is playing Depression Olympics with, no, I'm just saying, my heart didn't stop. I'm just saying, without my heart stopping, it took 3.5 months. This young man's heart stopped twice. So instead of praying for a speedy recovery, pray, meditate for a completing recovery. And completing means whatever it means for him and his body to be completing. Because a lot of times we look from the outside in on people and think, oh my God, they're in a wheelchair. Oh my God. And they're not complete. No, they are complete for themselves.
And what some
They're
people
happy to be alive. They're happy to be functional. They're just stop.
And part of that recovery also involves the methods that were used to save your life, like things they put in your throats, things they had to press on your chest. You may have had, some other, some of the process may include some other issues, not life-threatening, but other issues that also have to heal, whether they had to insert tubes, whether they were doing compressions, and maybe there was a hairline fracture somewhere. There may be things that saved your life, but
like I have a tattoo over. It's not technically a scar, but where things did not go right because I had a seizure. The seizure stopped. They were trying to put in an IV. Seizure came back. Nurse didn't know, as you know, and left a little mark. I was self-conscious about that mark.
Yeah.
But y'all have some benevolence. But as always, thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Us and watching. And I saw a few new people pop into the comment section.
Awesome. Keep on coming.
And say hey. So hey, back to you all. Thank you. As always, make sure you subscribe and click the bell so that you get a notification for any new videos that come up, because I do miscellaneous commentary, I do news updates. So if there's a huge story and something is breaking, sometimes I'm like, okay, I can't wait for the show. I got to put this information out for the people. That's what I do. And you will get notifications for the audio podcast. And if you have not checked out the links in the bio for the blog and everything else, make sure you do it.
And don't forget the merch.
Yeah, as always. And we will see you all next week. And I will see you all tomorrow. Y'all sent me a bunch of videos today that I'm still going through. And some of y'all need Jesus, but I love y'all. But as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Till tomorrow, y'all.